Here is the number one thing that I think would completely shift the mental health industry. The number one thing that I feel like, and this is just my opinion, the number one thing that would help to shift the mental health industry and begin to continue, I say begin, but really continue to break down the stigma as it relates to reaching out for mental health, whether that's seeing a psychiatrist for medication management, seeing a psychologist, seeing a counselor, seeing a therapist, seeing your pastor or religious leader as it relates to, spiritual counseling, whatever the case may be. I think the number one thing that's missing is a level of vulnerability from us as counselors. I'll speak for myself as a counselor, right? To let the world know, and certainly to let the individuals know, maybe when they reach out to us or they're thinking about pursuing counseling or starting therapy, is to let them know that we participate in our own mental health therapy and that we practice what it is we preach. I think one of the biggest things, and again, this is just me speaking, I think one of the biggest and most empowering and most connecting things that we can do is to, number one, be vulnerable, and number two, say, you know what? I get help. I could use some help. I'm continuing to rely on somebody else to help me. And so you're not alone. And I think one of the biggest things that happens or maybe holds people back, right, is kind of like this white coat syndrome, where it's like, I'm going to struggle to be vulnerable with my counselor, my doctor, or my healthcare provider because maybe I'm afraid of being judged. Maybe I'm afraid of, what are they going to think of me? This person seems like they have it all put together and they have it all figured out. And maybe, they can't help me because they don't know what it's like, or whatever the case may be. It could be a lot of different things that holds individuals back from seeking mental health counseling. That's not an exhaustive list, but I think ranks pretty high up there. And for us as counselors and us as mental health professionals, I think one of the biggest things that we can do to empower people and to really break down the stigma and to break that barrier or limit that barrier of access to care is to say, I would love to get started with you as being your counselor. Here's all of the different ways I feel that I can help you. And then also to be vulnerable with you, I have my own counselor. And so I think it's really important for people to have a counselor, for somebody to have that person that's a professional that can in a safe way hold a space for them and, provide therapeutic value and help them to work on whatever their, presenting problems are, whatever their struggles are. And, I'll be honest, in all of my experience as a healthcare professional, in the health and wellness industry, before I became a counselor, I really didn't see that happen too often. I really never went into, a doctor's office or some other kind of healthcare professional's office where they were like, hey, you know what? I empathize with you, and, I've done this to work on myself, and whatever that may be. And I should preface that by saying, I understand, right, that you don't want to go to somebody for help and they're like, well, let me tell you about myself the whole time, right? Or, let me just use this as an opportunity for me to, tell you all about my life story. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying in professional yet vulnerable ways to let people know that even counselors have counselors. Even doctors have doctors. Even personal trainers have personal trainers. Because we can all benefit by having somebody who believes in us, who supports us, who holds space for us, who can help us to show us how to do a little bit better. And, I'm a rookie in the health and wellness industry as a mental health professional. In Oregon, I'm a professional counselor associate. In the state of Washington, I'm a licensed mental health counselor associate. In British Columbia, Canada, I'm a registered clinical counselor. So I won't sit here and say that I have a whole bunch of experience as a mental health professional, but I do have a lot of experience of being a helper. And I also have a lot of experience in my own counseling journey at different points in times of my life. And, I received a message earlier today from my counselor who really helped to believe in me. His name is Billy Mercedes. And if you live in New Jersey and you're looking for a great counselor, I would highly recommend that you reach out to Billy. But Billy was vulnerable with me, and Billy poured belief into me, and Billy helped me to not feel so alone, right? And he did so in a professional way, but he also did so in a way that really made me feel comfortable. And so I would say that it is one of the biggest areas of opportunity that we have as mental health professionals is to put it out there. Hey, I work with a counselor. Hey, I'm such a big supporter of mental health counseling because my counselor helps me. And that's not something that we need to be ashamed about sharing. It's not something where it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to work with that counselor because they're still working on themselves. They still have a counselor. I don't know if they can help me. No, I think it's quite the opposite of that. I think it's, wow, that person is still working on themselves. Wow, that person is still growing. Wow, that person is still developing. Wow, that person is still working through their own things. Because let me tell you, anybody that is on a healing growth journey, that is an ongoing process. It's not a destination, it's a process. And so I think that would be one of the biggest things that we can do as mental health professionals to begin to break down that barrier and to increase access to care is, as mental health professionals ourselves, as helpers ourselves, as healer facilitators ourselves, is to say, and you know what? I have my own counselor, or I have my own therapist, or whatever the case may be, right? I have my own coach, because it helps me to be the best version of me. So I wanted to hop on here and share this message. If you're a mental health professional or you're a healing facilitator, please leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. Is this something that you discuss with the individuals that you work with? And for anybody that, has their own counselor or is seeking counseling, leave a comment below. Let me know, how would it feel if, when you were kind of doing your meet and greet consultation kind of intake, right? Would it make you to feel more comfortable if one of the things in a professional way that individual said to you was, yeah, I believe in counseling because I have a counselor myself, or I believe in therapy and I have a therapist myself? Because for me, I think it's been critical in my own journey, and I see it as a piece where we could be a little bit better as mental health professionals to really break down that stigma. So I hope this video resonates with you. Please leave a thumbs up. Sending you all